Just mute everybody. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen last? Anything? Please feel free to unmute. We will then quickly go into the first adhyay's first shlok of the Gita. Yes, please. Anybody? Anything that we saw yesterday? We were looking at the relevance of the Gita. So yes, please. Anyone? Hari Om.
Hari Om Bhaiya.
Hari Om ji. Yes, ma'am.
So yesterday, at the end, you had just narrated a small story of Mahabharata, and we ended up where is Hastinapur, and it is situated near about you, and everything is related with the throne. The throne symbolizes the power, the position, and this is what is going to happen in Mahabharata, and we are going to hear what Lord Krishna has to say to Arjun regarding all these things.
Yes. Yes, Renuji gave a small brief of the story. So there was a battle between the brothers over the throne of Hastinapur. Duryodhana displayed a lot of arrogance in denying his own brothers even what we call a needle type of plan. Krishna intervened. He tried to prevent this war, but then it is the human nature, isn't it? It does not change, even if advice is given. Well-meaning advice also is given. He said, no, I don't want it now. Because that is exactly what Duryodhana did. This led to a very great battle of Mahabharata. So one interesting thing in the Mahabharata was whose side will Krishna play? Whose side Krishna will be on? It's like suddenly one side, war. I mean, in today's day, if two countries are fighting and one is a nuclear armed state, what happens then? Balance is completely, there is no balance at all, isn't it? So for the sake of parity, Krishna said, I will not participate in this battle. But then the question came, who will get the Narayani Sena, the army of Krishna? And Krishna's army was not just an ordinary army. It's like each member is like what we can call modern SWAT commandos or something like that. Each Narayani Sena soldier was so powerful. Now, who will get that? Is again the question. Already, you see, the Pandavas are outnumbered. Many times have we noticed that when you're on the good side, you are outnumbered. Anybody has experienced that? You're doing something right. You want to do something correct. And suddenly the people who are not doing right are, so much more organized maybe. They have a greater samuha, they have a greater force. It always happens like that. These are the forces of nature. And Arjuna's side was outnumbered by several lakh soldiers. But again, there were so many kings willing to fight for Arjuna's cause. So many of them. Means here on the opposite side, you have Dronacharya, Pitama, Bhishma, Kripacharya. All these are like juggernauts. Each of them was so powerful. But some of them said, no, we will stand by this right even if this is wrong. So they have all chosen the Pandavan side. But when the question of Krishna's army, Krishna said, I am not going to fight. I can give you a choice. I can give you my advice. Or the Narayani Sena. You can choose. What do you want? Obviously, Duryodhana did not really care much for advice. So he wanted the Narayani Sena. But who is going to choose was the question. So Krishna said, it is simple. Whomever I see first the very next day, I will let that person choose. That person will get the chance to choose. So when Krishna went to rest, both Arjuna and Duryodhana were by his side. So next day morning, we have to see. Now here also the position. Arjuna was, let the divine will be done. I will press Krishna's feet as he goes to sleep. Duryodhana was sitting next to Krishna's head he wanted to immediately put his face in front of Krishna the moment Krishna wakes up. Now, normally nobody wakes up with sudden wide eyes, unless, of course, someone has a nightmare. And I don't think Krishna ever had nightmares. So that was a very wrong strategic move by Duryodhana. And Krishna woke up normally with his eyes slowly open, and his eyes fell on the one who was by his feet. That's Arjuna. And he asked Arjuna, Arjuna, what do you want? Do you want the Narayan Sena or do you want me? He said, Krishna, what is the use of your Sena without you? I want you only. I want your advice. But Krishna does not have any weapons because he has said, I will not participate in the battle. I will not wield any weapon. But Arjuna was, it's okay. Your advice is most valuable. So that is somewhere that is actually showing a great distinction between Krishna and Arjuna. He understood what is right. This is something which is very important in the Upanishads also. There is something called Shreyas. There is something called Prayas. Shreyas is that which is good. Prayas is that which is desirable. Sometimes we have to choose what is good, even if it's not desirable, because Shreyas is something which is always important. Though there will not be much of a sermon on Shreyas and Prayas in the Bhagavad Gita, it is there in the Kathopanishad if anybody wants to study. That is very beautifully described. Yama, the Lord of Death himself, tests Nachiketas and then gives the beautiful explanation there as well. But we will see Arjuna is always, leaning towards what is Shreyas. What is good must be done, because we will see why it needs to be done also as the Gita proceeds. So this is the background story. We saw Gita is relevant. It was relevant before. Somebody who is wanting to study the Shastras, you cannot leave the Gita. If you see the most modern schools of philosophy, all the Vedanta schools, whether it is the Dvaita or the Advaita or the Vishishta Advaita, they all call Bhagavad Gita as the Pramana Shastra. In one question, they had asked me, so what am I going to be speaking about, Dvaita or Advaita? That was a big, what we can say, catch-22 situation to answer that question. Because if I say Dvaita, the ones in the Advaita school will feel different. But it is not something we are going to be discussing on whether it is whichever Vedantic philosophy you look at. We are going to be looking at Gita for its practical everyday value, whatever interpretation you want. We've had persons from the Dvaita philosophy also understanding the Gita, and the beautiful aspect is they use the same shlokas for Pramana Shastras, for Dvaita, for Advaita also. Like we saw, Lokmanya Tilak also has Shatam Pratishatyam principle from the Gita and created Karma Yogi freedom fighters, and Gandhiji has picked up Ahimsa from the Gita. Now we will see whether Ahimsa is the predominant factor. Will Arjuna become Ahimsavadi at the end of the Bhagavad Gita and not participate, or he will understand another meaning of Ahimsa at the end of the Gita and participate in the battle with that that knowledge granted by Krishna? So this was one thing that we saw. So let us now enter into the Gita. It begins interestingly at Hastinapur. Dhritarashtra, the blind emperor. Being blind is something. It is being not able to see. But here we can also understand a symbolism behind it. Dhritarashtra was blind metaphorically also. Does anybody know why?
Because of
Yes,
his love for his children.
we call it love or attachment.
I mean, he wanted good things for his children only. I mean, without thinking about whether it is right or wrong or who is the rightful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So, but then will you call that love or will you call that attachment?
I would call that
Attachment.
bias.
Yeah.
Attachment. Yes, because here attachment is preventing him from probably correcting his own loved ones. He wants everything good for his children, but that wanting has turned into a kind of attachment which is preventing him. So that is why he's also blind. Because I have a friend who is a journalist. She cannot see, but what articles she writes, I actually came to know her afterwards, only after getting introduced to her through some work. But without seeing, she could write everything so beautifully that nobody could even realize. She's describing the nature, she's describing the scenery. it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Physical blindness is something. Her life is going on very well and nicely. But here, the attachment, it's like when you are having eyes and you are choosing not to see. That is called real blindness. And that is the problem Dhritarashtra had. So that is why even when Vyasa said, Chalo, I will give you drishti, divya drishti, divine sight. When Vyasa is giving that prasada, he says, no, give it to Sanjay. I trust Sanjay very much. Give Sanjay the ability to see what happens. Let him narrate what he perceives consciously. I would continue hearing through hearing. I think there was Dr. Hemaji yesterday. She was saying we should feel grateful to Dhritarashtra because of Dhritarashtra. We are able to hear. But one way it is something like we are also like Dhritarashtra. We cannot see the Mahabharata happening. We are also going to say thank you to Sanjay for this or thank you to Vyasa. Will not want to say thank you to Dhritarashtra because he did not do his duty and he created a Mahabharata. It could have been avoided also. In a different situation, Krishna could have given the Gita as well. But let us enter into the Adhyay. Dhritarashtra is there in his chambers. He is asked Sanjay. Sanjay, we can assume, has taken the Padmasana posture. All the guards have been sent out. The chamber's door is closed. And Dhritarashtra is going to ask this question. The Prathamodhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. The blind emperor Dhritarashtra asked the oracle. Gathered together in Kurukshetra to battle, assembled eagerly to prove their mettle, the Pandavas and my Kauravas poised for a fight. Oh Sanjay, what happened there? Share your divine sight. I just repeat this once more. Gathered together in Kurukshetra to battle, assembled eagerly to prove their mettle, the Pandavas and my Kauravas poised for a fight. Oh Sanjay, what happened there? Share your divine sight. The very first shloka says why Mahabharata took place. And the very first shloka has the solution for preventing a Mahabharata. Can someone identify it? I'll give the hint. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva. Yes, Chaitanya.
My Kauravas.
Yeah, my Kauravas.
My Kauravas, isn't it? So it's my Kauravas and the Pandavas. Now for an uncle, his children are his children, his brother's children are also his children only, isn't it? But when that line has already been drawn, and that is why there's a beautiful Sanskrit Subhashit which tells us to stop making that line. There are so many reasons people draw the line, sometimes most funny reasons also. Right from the favorite sports team. This person is my friend because he supports the same sports team. Or this person is my friend because he is connected with me by blood. Or this person is my friend because I have a history with this person and that person is not. That person is the other person. That person is an outsider. He is no more my, he does not share my philosophy. He does not share my taste. All these factors are creating lines of division. And the first adhyay shows what happens. Of course, Dhritarashtra wanted good for his children only. Which father will want anything bad for the child? But here, the attachment has taught him to create that divide. So whatever dvesha which may be present in Duryodhana has got a seed from the father only. Unfortunately, he did not know this, and the outcome was equally unfortunate for the entire, what we can say, the family of the Kauravans, who had made themselves distinct. There is this beautiful Sanskrit Subhashit. Ayam nijaha paro veti ganana laghuchetasam udara charitana tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. The narrow-minded person says this person is mine, that person is another. But the broad-minded person can recognize that vasudhaiva kutumbakam, the world is one family. And that is something, if we recognize it, we will get certain experiences. Because even metaphysically, Isha Upanishad also talks about that, seeing the divine in all. And that is the first realization, after which Soham Asmi, the realization comes. If you're not able to see the divine everywhere, in people you don't like, people who don't follow your exact taste also, well, he is there. Who knows, sometimes in people. It's like, what do they say? Good people tell you what you want to do. Bad people also tell you what you should not do. Can learn from both. And that is something which we must understand. But here, let's get back into the Gita. Share me on divine sight is what Dhritarashtra has asked Sanjay. And probably Sanjay's eyes roll up and he begins. And we are going to quickly move from the Hastinapur into the battlefield directly because Sanjay is taking us there. Sanjay Uvacha. दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य Raja Vachanamabravit. Sanjay replied, seeing the Pandavas' army approaching, King Duryodhana then began speaking. His teacher's attention he sought to invoke to Dronacharya. The following words he spoke. The Pandavan army is approaching. Duryodhana is already Raja. So he is giving orders to his Senapati. And who is his Senapati? None other than Guru Dronacharya. Who was Guru Dronacharya? The Guru of both Pandavas and Kauravas. And now he is on the side of Duryodhana. And probably, let us see. Let us look at the tone of Duryodhana while addressing his Guru. Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatin Chamum Yudham Drupada Putrena Tavashishena Dhivatam. O Acharya, behold and cast your glance at the Pandavan army's battle stance. The sons of Pandu and Drupad have thus arrayed. See the battle formation that they have arranged. Who is Dronacharya? He is a military leader. He is a teacher who taught Duryodhana how to fight. And now, how is the tone? Do we see a lot of reverence right now in Duryodhana for his guru? Anybody? Yes, please. What do you draw from this tone? Acharya, look at this side. See this army. See this children of Pandu. He doesn't even call them properly. Yes, Renuji, you were saying something. Yeah.
It's arrogance.
It's arrogance, isn't it?
Arrogance. Commanding his guru.
Yes, yes. And you see, Guru also is here trapped because of his attachment, maybe Putra Moha, maybe something. And now here he has to listen. He has to listen to this who was once upon a time a Pillu who was learning under him. Now he has to listen and take orders. And he is commanding, oh Acharya, I know of your eyes. Your glance is so important. With your eagle eyes, you can identify so many battle formations, identify weakness. This is now I'm using it. Look there. See that. So here, attachment is not good for anybody. Even the most powerful, even the most skillful also. Here we see Duryodhana commanding Dronacharya. There was one interesting incident in the Mahabharata only that before the battle, the Pandavas went to meet their teachers to get their blessings. Means Dronacharya's blessings also they wanted, even Pitama Bhishma's blessings also. And why? Because that was their nature. They will never leave that nature of the Pandavas. They are going to fight, and these teachers are going to aim to kill them. But they say, no, please give me your blessings. And they already had won their heart over with that. It was only because of the sense, their attachment to that action which they were doing, they did not say Vijay Bhava. Otherwise, from their heart, that Ashirwad had already gone. For the sake of good, I hope you are victorious, was their heartbeat that time. So here, Dronacharya is being commanded. Atra Shura. He's explaining to whom? To Dronacharya, who knows everybody in his army. He's again explaining everything to him. He sees who is there on our side. Look at those Pandavas, but look at our side. He goes on. Atra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharatha. Here stand in the battlefield the mighty warriors, the great military heroes and archers. To Arjuna and Bhima, they are equal in skill and might. Yudhana, Virat, and Chief Drupad are all ready to fight. You see, they're all equal to even Arjuna and Bhima. There is Yudhana, there is Virat, Drupad, all of them. He goes on. Drishtaketushchekitanah Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kuntibhojascha Shaipyascha Narapungavaha. So you see, it's called Maharatha, Manarapunga. These are all titles. No, Maharathi is one who is in charge of, like a battalion only directly. There are different gradations. So each of them is like a separate one. They all had their own separate flags also. All under one banner, but different flags, each indicating their status. Arjuna's flag, anybody knows the name? Arjuna's flag bore which symbol?
Hanuman.
Yes, sir, Narendra and Sindhuji. Yes, they call it Kapit Dhwaja, the Maharudra, the Vajra, Hanuman. He was there in that. It is said his presence also. It was more than just symbolic, it was even tantric. Let us continue anyway. So along with them were also the valiant Drishtaketu, the king of Kashi, Chekitan, and the most brave amongst men, Purujit, Kuntibhoj, and Shaivya, all warriors brilliant. Now we will only be looking at Arjuna and Krishna in the Gita. These are all characters which will come in Mahabharata. Each person has a beautiful backstory, but we are not very concerned with it at the moment. Yudhamanyushcha Vikranta Uttamaujascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarve Eva Maharatha. Uttamauja the strong, the achiever Yudhamanyu, the son of Subhadra, the young Abhimanyu. Just 1 second. Sorry. Uttamaja the strong and the achiever Yudhamanyu, the son of Subhadra, the young Abhimanyu, also marshaled are Draupadi's 5 warrior sons, all exemplary generals in their own bastions. Each of them was a specialist in different form of weapons, and it's like we have now specializations, isn't it? In the art field or even in the medical field, there's even super specializations now. So something like that, each in one type of warfare, they were all masters of masters. So it was not going to be a like walkover for Duryodhana, though he had the strength, he had the guidance of all the leaders, but the opponents were also formidable. And that's why he says, I have introduced there, but now look who is on our side. Asmakam tu vishishtaye tannibodha vijottama nayaka mama sainyasya samnyartham tan bravimite. Oh, best amongst Brahmins, let me now confide and introduce the great warriors standing on our side, the prominent among the generals and leaders who stand ground to lead our armed warriors. Because now I'll introduce who is on our side. My one question is, was this breaking news for Dronacharya, who is on his side? Why do you think Duryodhana needed to introduce who is there? Anybody?
Show of strength.
Yes, sir. Show of strength, but yes, to whom? To whom is he showing the strength? To Dronacharya?
I guess
or
to his through his guru, he's asserting it to himself.
To himself, isn't it? So that's still an insecurity. He's not
correct.
He's not
he's almost like
Shraddha.
proving a point.
Yeah, and he's not having that Shraddha. Is my guru is there? Where means it's like Jako Rakesa Ya Matsake no Koi. When Shraddha is there in the guru and guru is leading, all you have to do is just do what is being asked. But here you see that insecurity that he is doing everything. All of them are there. They have to. He is the leader. He is the commander. So all these factors have already created. So his own insecurity is being shown here, where he's displaying to his guru. You see now I'll introduce who is on his side.
Maybe Shishurji, he knows somewhere down there that he's not doing right, and there is that guilt. So just to convince himself, to overcome that and fight with full courage, he's trying to kind of say to himself and everyone that we are going to win.
Yes, yes. All right. Or something like, I think one more thing. Guilt is there. Chor ke daadi mein tinka. Something like that. Duryodhana knows somewhere in essence we have wronged. And that he feels, let Dronacharya never think like that in the battle. He has to fight on my side. See, this is your opponent. This is our side. He's trying to re-emphasize it. One interesting name has been given for Dronacharya. It's called Dvijottama. In English, we just translate it as best among Brahmins. But what is this Dvija? We call it twice born. And he is considered best amongst twice born. What could this mean? Does it refer to what we have now, modern day caste? Is he talking about that? Or is it something else? Dvijottama. Well, Dvija, the is twice born is the second birth takes place in one's life when they get a Guru Diksha or when it's like when you learn something. And here in this case, Dronacharya gave the weapons to the warriors, isn't it? It's a birth, new birth to each of these warriors when they learn to fight. And this person is not just not Arjuna or Duryodhana, he's got so many. So he's like, oh, great one who has given so many births to so many people. That's why the second birth, the spiritual awakening in a person's life is called the second birth. A new birth takes place, a complete transformation of life takes place. And here is one teacher who has given to so many people a new birth. So he's calling on to him. We see now on our side who is there. So it has nothing to do only with caste, it's actually to do with the second birth. And who can have a second birth? Is there some outer material requirement? A particular bank balance is required or a particular work, he has to belong to this particular field of literature or art or science, something like that. For the second birth, for whom is this possible?
Somebody who has the will.
Anybody who has the will. Absolutely. Yes, Dr. Tanviti. Yes. So let us continue. He goes on. Who is there? Biggest breaking news. You are there. He says that. Bhavan. He says, Bhavan, Bhishmascha Karnascha, Krupascha, Samitantinjayaha, Ashwathama, Vikarnascha, Saumadattis, Tathaivacha. Yourself, the mighty grandfather Bhishma, Karna, and the undefeated Acharya Kripa. Each greatest amongst masters, matched by none, also are Ashwathama, Vikarna, and Somadatta's son. So you see, and he has to say it's actually comical because you are there. Don't forget, you have to fight from my side. He's trying to remind him. You are there. Pitama Bhishma is there. There's Kripacharya. Kripacharya was the one who never lost a battle. Means what a record, what a track record. Never lost a battle. He is also there. And the great masters are also there. Ashwathama was very skilled. Also the weak point of Drona. Vikarna and Somadatta's son. All of them. And then comes the next line. Let us see. This is absolute arrogance speaking. Anyecha bahavaha shura madarthe tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. Many other great ones have come to partake, sacrificing their lives to battle for my sake. The advanced specialists of all forms of weapons have come to battle, all of them victors and veterans. So all of them have come to partake and to sacrifice for my sake. They all come to die for me, is what Duryodhana is saying. Is this true? Have all of them come out of their love and affection for Duryodhana? What a beautiful cause Duryodhana is fighting. Let me die for it. Is that the attitude? Anybody?
No, it's
Yes.
just pure loyalty, I guess.
Loyalty, compulsions, some kind of, Bhishma was holding on to his pledge only, his personal pledge. His personal pledge. What was his pledge? To work for the people, isn't it? To keep a right ruler. Now, somewhere his personal pledge, the spirit of the pledge is forgotten. To uphold a personal pledge, he goes on to, isn't this against the Rajya Dharma also? To establish a ruler who is not right. But that is forgotten. Why? The I becomes more important even in the great ones also. You see, Bhishma Acharya, the greatest of great ones, he also. Dronacharya, well, we have Ashwatthama as his weak point. Ashwatthama has been given distant places to rule, and he is going to be, he is involved. I will go by his side. So all of different. We'll not try to analyze what was the exact reason, but various reasons they have come out of compulsion. It is not out of their full aspiration to do something good that they have joined his side. And he goes on further. He says, "Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam vidametesham balam bhimabhirakshitam." So first he starts something and then he contradicts it. He says first, with Bhishma as guardian, our army is unmatchable, peerless in combat, and looks highly unbeatable. He says there is no match, there is no equal. You cannot even compare our army with anybody's because we have our Bhishma as guardian. Though he had a white mane, he was like a lion only. His strength was, you can say, 100 times an ordinary individual strength. He was so powerful, and nobody could beat him. That was one of his really invincible strengths. Death could not touch him. That was Bhishma. So he says, our army cannot be compared. And then he compares it with the army of Bhima. The very next line, he says, as against the army that Bhima has guarded, his side appears less formidable and limited. One side we say one is not comparable, and immediately next point he's again comparing and saying, see, this is lesser. So we are more powerful, we are more strong because we have Bhishma. And that is where he makes a big strategic mistake in the next shloka. What does he do? He says, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avasthitaha bhishmamevabhirakshantu bhavantaha sarva evahi. And so to all of you, I thus request and ask to perform this singular and important task. Stand your ground during the battle and protect the revered Bhishma, whom we so respect. So what does he say? I give you one order to everybody. If you have to die, you die. But follow this order. And he's telling this to everybody. His means including the elders, to all who have seen him grow, and he is just in that force. And what is the order he has given? Protect Bhishma. Protect Bhishma. My question is, does Bhishma need protection? Just one shloka ago he was saying he's unbeatable. So does Bhishma need protection? Yes? No, isn't it? But he has given that order. We have so many stories in our Sanatan tradition of Asuras. They get different Shaktis and Bala and Tap. They do different Tapa to earn all of it. And then they ask something very silly. They say, nobody should, under this clause, they should not do this, or they should not be able to kill me. Not in day, not in night, not inside, not outside. And in that clause, they create a loophole themselves with that clause only. And here we see Bhishma doing, our Duryodhana doing the same thing. He says, see, protect Bhishma, whatever happens. Why do you think this happens, anybody? He had everything. He could have said, Bhishma, today is your day on the field. You go ahead, finish the army. He could have done it. That was how he was. But why did Duryodhana do this? Anybody? What was the reason? Can we just think about
Is
it?
overconfident, sir.
Overconfidence as well as insecurity. More than that, means arrogance gives a lot of overconfidence. It's like a cat will suddenly probably drink instead of milk alcohol and says, go, I am going to beat the lion today. That is what arrogance does. And at the same time, fear of losing becomes very strong. So he says, no. He is our important link. So I cannot appear invincible even in 1% also. So he says that just protect. So that means he's putting everybody in a bandhana, his entire army with this act. And this is what happens when ahankar or arrogance takes control of a person. We end up creating our own, we become our own pitfall actually, whether in sadhana or whether in any ordinary life event also, general life event also. Our arrogance only comes in the way. And here, Dronacharya, Bhishma, all are being asked one thing. Imagine Bhishma's face, how it would have been this kid is asking everybody to protect me. But he also has to listen now because he's Duryodhana, he's Raja right now. So let us continue. Then Bhishma just complies and then he begins what is the Shankhanad. This was one important aspect before the battle. This is there in most battles also of the what we can say before, of course, the guerrilla warfare, where people didn't nowadays they don't attack that way. But earlier, when battlefields, armies would meet across the world. This Shankhanad was something which was a normal thing. There would be different, sometimes trumpets. In the West, there were other, marches, bands would there. They would play different sounds. Why do you think that was done? Anybody? Yes. Anyone? Why do we? Yes, Dr. Tanviji?
To encourage the soldiers or
Which
to
soldiers?
mark the start
All right.
from
And
both
which
the
soldiers?
sides and to
So both will get encouragement, or one will get encouragement, the other will lose encouragement.
depends on who has
To strike
start.
fear also, isn't it? One side would be for, boosting the morale of the army which is playing, and the other would be see our strength. Let that sound go into because we have seen mantras are very healing and quiet and peaceful also. But the same sounds can have healing effect, and certain frequencies and certain sounds can have a disturbing effect also. And that was exactly what the purpose was. Yes, Dr. Tanviji. So here,
Yeah, right.
big yes, carry on.
Can we connect it? Can we connect it to the modern day? What happens at, say, for example, the Wagah border?
Yeah,
Can
yes.
we connect? Can we correlate that?
Yes. And actually, in a battle between North Korea and South Korea, it was not battle, but in the border, they started playing certain music which was very irritating to the other side. It was a music which was banned in that country. So all they did was they bought loudspeakers and they put some kind of pop music only, but they played it at the border because they wanted to disturb the other side, and they really got disturbed by it. So everything matters in the battle, and they try to boost there. Here, there is a symbolic aspect also of the Shankha, and now the Shankhanath begins. So after this order and instruction by Duryodhana, Bhishma has enough. He says enough of talking. Let's begin, and he brings in the Shankhanath. Tasya Chandanya Yanharsham Kuru Vriddhaha Pitamaha Simhanadam Vinodyochaihi Shankham Dadmau Pratapavani. Grandsire Bhishma, the Kuru clan's eldest, whose very presence enthused even the strongest, like a king lion. He sent out the fiercest roar. The sound of his battle conch sparked a furore. So you see, his nad, it was the Shankanad was called Simhanad also, because that was a sound like a lion's roar. So you can just imagine with his mane and big conch that he blew, it sent out a big sound, and he had the respect. The first man was for our this Bhishma Pitamaha. That first conch would be blown by him on the Kauravan side, and it sent out. It was like a lion which was roaring, a powerful lion. How was his presence? In his presence, heroes became stronger. Heroes felt more enthusiastic, more energized. That was his, charismatic presence of Bhishma. And then began the Shantinad. After him started. ततः शङ्खाश्च भैर्यश्च वणवान खगोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्य हन्यन्त सशब्दस्तुमुलोऽभवत्. Next echoed conches, cymbals, and drums, and all the horns, trumpets, and kettle drums, all at once in a singular cohesive sound, and their noise proliferated a tumult around. So what happens when too many sounds come together? It appears like one bright, loud, one dark, one very powerful sound. That is it, all fused into one sound only, because everybody started after Pitamaha, and their noise proliferated tumult around. Now, what is this English word? Tumult, T-U-M-U-L-T. Anybody? Have you heard of this? Anyone? Yes.
Chaos.
T-M-U-L-T, that is disturbance.
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed your words. Yeah.
Is it TUMULT?
Yeah. Yes, Renuji. Yes.
It's disturbance caused. Disturbance.
Okay, disturbance. All right. Yes.
Or chaos?
Yes, a chaos. And do you know the Sanskrit equivalent of that word?
No.
Tumul. Tumul. It's the same. Tumul. It is the same thing. Tumul. So we use that. Shabdas tumulo bhavat. And this is what has happened. All the sounds have appeared crazy and one sound everywhere. This is the time when our Dhritarashtra was feeling happy. See, what a beautiful army. But as if Sanjay always reveals that he is from the opposite party, as if picture Abhi Baki immediately says the next shloka. It is Tataha Shvetayir Yukte Mahati Sanande Sitau Madhavaha Madhavaha Pandavaschaiva Divyau Shankau Pradhadmatuhu. It is then in a magnificent chariot drawn by horses white, Arjuna and Krishna came into my sight. Both sounded together, their conches divine, seated in their vehicle, splendid and fine. The bhava of Sanjay also changes. He says, Divya Shankha, he says this divine conches, he calls it. He didn't call it for Pitamaha. He says, see now in that regal chariot, look how beautifully it is studded with gems. There, Krishna and Arjuna, white horses are driving this chariot. It has come into my sight, and look, they are raising their conches. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayaha Poundram Dadhvau Mahashankham Bhima Rukodaraha. Sri Krishna is God gifted Panchajanya, and Arjuna, the divine conch Devadatta, and the most fearsome Pandava Bhima blew the mighty Poundra. Bhima's conch's name also is having that Ugra Roop. It's Poundra. That is what Bhima's conch's name is there. There Arjuna is having Devadatta. Anybody is from the sports field here? Anyone? Why do you think they have these names for these conches, each of them? Or anybody has, people have the habit of giving names for objects. Why do you think people do that? Because they have a personality of their own, isn't it? Sometimes a particular bat, this is my favorite bat for a player. He says, no, no, this bat, I have something, I am connected with it. So each of these conches are connected with their owners. They are able to connect with some particular frequency when they play that. And each of these conches had a backstory also. Why is this called Devadatta? How did Arjuna receive it? So they have a legend and tale behind each of it. We're not looking at all of it, but just because we just had a cursory glance on that. And here others also are starting. And it's beautiful if you see each of these Pandavas conches have a beautiful tale behind it. So this is something when a person walks on the path of Dharma and they go right, each action which they do is the correct action and that action has a greater, what we can say, significance than a action done on the wrong path. Of course, so many people would have had their histories and backstories in the Duryodhan side also, but nobody remembers that it's not even mentioned here. Because this was earned by tapasya, this was some Devadatta given by the divine only, directly. So something like that, each and every step of this Pandava's life was different. And that was probably why the Kauravans hated them also. It was probably jealousy, but this is the state right now. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kuntiputro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosha Manipushpakau. And then Kunti's son, King Yudhishthira, sounded his conch, Ananta Vijaya. Look at the name also. Eternal victory. Ananta Vijaya. And the brothers Nakul and Sahadev, respectively, Sughosh and Manipushpaka. Kashyascha Parameshwatha Shikhandi cha Maharatha Drushtadimno Viratascha Satyakishcha Parajitaha. King of Kashi, Master Archer, and watch Shikhandi, Drushtadimna, Virat, and the undefeated Satyaki. Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithvipate Sabhadrashcha Mahabahu Shankhan Dadhu Pruthak Pruthak. Drupad, mighty Abhimanyu, and Draupadi's all sons, O king, from all directions their conches bellowed at once. It all started. It was like, which direction? North, south, east, west. Where is it coming? It's coming from all directions. That sound was going on. Saghosho Dhathrashtranam Hridayani Nidarayat Navasha Prithivim Chaiva Tumulobhya Nunadayan. The call of the conscious sunk deep into the Kauravan heart, sending a ripple of fear even in their greatest stalwart. So fearsome, a shudder spread through the ground. Even the mighty skies reverberated with the terrible sound. So this tumult is not on the ground also. It looks like the skies are also shaking. And in the hearts of the Kauravans also, a ripple of fear spread. My question is, why did it spread on the Kauravan side when they are having the numbers? We didn't see our Sanjay speak about the Pandavan side having a fear in their hearts. Yes, Kartik.
The insecurity is just playing out.
Yeah, but why in the Kauravan side and not in the Pandavan side? Because this is, of course, one thing is he is like modern day reporters. We can say they have already declared their affiliation while reporting. Neutrality is already lost.
Yeah,
And
possibly.
Sanjay is directly saying, we can see Sanjay is very inclined, though he's on the Dhritarashtra's side, he is inclined to this particular side, which he feels is correct, which is one way good also. But my question is, why not the fear aspect in the in the Pandavan side? Why in the Kauravan side? Yes,
Because
Shilpaji?
they
Yeah.
knew they were doing wrong in their hearts.
Ha,
They knew that
ha,
they were
ha. So
wrong.
their heart knows when you do a wrong action, no matter how you cover it up with what logic, with what tarka, with whatever on the outside, the heart knows. The wrongdoer knows I'm wrong. And that is the greatest insecurity inside. And that is what everybody tries to cover. So suddenly they forgot, oh my God, they're not really underdogs. They look powerful. Did we do wrong in this? Should we have not done this? This one small doubt did come into so many hearts. And for somebody who is, you know, fighting for the right cause, no? They don't care. Bring me 100. How Guru Gobind Singh's Sawa Lakh De Ek Ladawa. One person is ready to, fight every Chidiya Dena Bach Ladawa. The sparrow will go to hunt the eagle only. Because the heart is clear. The heart is clear. And that is something which is there on the Pandavan side. They are fighting for the right cause. That is not. They are ready for it. Something like that. Now, we see next. अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धातराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रकृते शस्त्रसम्पाति धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः. The great Pandava who was expert in the Dhanur Vidya, he speaks. Observing the Kauravan combative stance, Arjuna, whose chariot bore the flag of the legendary Anjaneya, ready to battle by raising and lifting his divine bow, and equipped his quiver with deathly arrows to let go. So Arjuna, we can see, is confident, is firm, and he's ready. And his chariot is bearing Hanuman's, symbol there. There's a big story also behind it, and there was a promise that his presence would be felt. That was the Ashirvad that he had received. And Arjuna, he had so many names, so many titles. We will be looking at only Arjuna because we want to look at the Gita in a particular way only at this moment. But Arjuna had earned, his name was, one of the great names was Parantapa. Meaning of Parantapa means harasser of enemies. When Arjuna entered the battle, armies would flee, not one or two soldiers. Oh my God, it's Arjuna. No, no, today we are not. We are going on a holiday. I can't take part in this battle. So many would run away just knowing Arjuna there because he was like that. And his arrows were deathly arrows with such precision he could strike from far away. He would pierce correctly that exact point of the opponent. Means the exact location of the heart where he wanted, he could send the arrow from so far away. And that was Arjuna. So he was he was selecting his arrows. And as was the case in this, it was a Dharma Yuddha. Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra was also a Dharma Kshetra. They followed dharmas only in the battlefield. So when the war would start after the Shankhana, when the war would start, each person would mark their opponent. Means foot soldier would fight a foot soldier. It was not like foot soldier fighting somebody on a horse or something like that, or a one on a chariot. The one on the chariot would fight a one on the chariot. It was something like that. That parity was mentioned. When it would become dark, then the fight would stop because nobody should get any, wrong advantage. So it was something. There were rules everywhere, and so Arjuna was ready. He was like, "Let me now mark my opponents. Who is it that I am going to slay?" So we see a clarity of thought and confidence, isn't it? Isn't it in Arjuna's at this moment at least? Yes, it is the Arjuna that is known. The warrior Arjuna is visible at the moment. What does he do in his confidence? What happens when people become very confident? They behave like Duryodhana only. So he gives
Uh,
instruction to Krishna. Yes, Kartik, you were saying something.
you
Yes,
know,
sir.
arrogance takes over or ego takes over.
Yeah. Only the level of ego changes. So because here he is Arjuna, he may not have that much level, but still he sees. Look at this, what he does. He says, Rushikesham tada vakyam midamaha mahipate Arjuna uvacha senayoru bhayor madhe ratham sthapaya mechusa. O king, then to the divine charioteer Krishna. So Arjuna Krishna had promised not just to be the advisor, he said, I'll be your charioteer for Arjuna. He was a Sarathi. There's a lot of symbolism. If you have Sarathi of Krishna, your battle is already over. You have to listen to the Sarathi. You don't have to give instructions to the Sarathi. If you give instructions, again, you're in trouble. This is what has happened to Arjuna. He could have asked Krishna, give me the directions. But then it would not have been Bhagavad Gita. It would have been, it would be different. I would say it was very nice Arjuna is there because he asks questions. Even when Krishna starts explaining, he asks doubts and all. Otherwise, if I was there and I would ask Krishna what to do. He would say, go fight. I would say, yes, sir. Over. No Bhagavad Gita at all. It would have been quite boring. So we are lucky Arjuna is a good representative of all of us. He tells us what we have to do and sometimes what we have to not do also. So here he tells us. He says, O king, then to the divine chariot Krishna, the following words were spoken by Arjuna. Between the two armies, I request you to take our chariot into the battlefield center for my sake. Says, take my chariot to the center of the battlefield between the armies. Is this a death wish? We'll have to see why he has asked this. Yavadetam niriksheham yodhukama navasthitan kairmaya saha yodhavyam tasmin rana samudhyame. Unless, he says, unless this warfield I closely observe and see those who desire to wage the battle against me, I cannot assess the warrior's might and strength and decide the opponents who are worthy to fight. I want to go there for one reason, to see who is my opponent, to see the strength and to identify the areas in the armor of this which can be broken. What battle formation has been made? How will I be able to best counter it? Who is going to be my target today? My first target, meaning he has a list, like a kill list of different people he has to slay. That is how the battle will be over. Means he has got a full idea and clarity of a warrior. Into the war, he knows he has to fight. He knows fighting in a war is not just a dance or game, it is a death. It is death. He's entered into this Kurukshetra, which is also a Mrityu fully confident. And he says, take me to the center so I can identify my opponents and mark my opponents. He goes on further. We'll stop at the 23rd shloka. युत्समानान् नवेक्षेऽहं य एतेऽत्र समागताः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेः युद्धे प्रयचिकीर्षवः. All those who have thus battled here, I wish to see all the warriors from near, the alliance of well-wishers that has combined to support the cause of Duryodhana's false mind. He says, I want to see from near. Look at all. I want to look in the eye to all of these people. All of them who have chosen to support the false cause of Duryodhana. Means he's very clear that his cause is just, his cause is right, and he says, I want to see, look in the eye. Krishna, we'll look at two more shlokas better, I think. Two more shlokas, we'll look at it and then we'll conclude. Because Krishna's first words, though many say it is the second adhyay, the battle star, when the Bhagavad Gita actually begins when Krishna speaks, but here there's a small word of Krishna here. Sanjay Uvacha, एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरु भयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्. O Emperor, Sanjay spoke, as per the words of Arjuna that were uttered to the divine Krishna. What did Krishna do? Well, you've appointed me as Sarthi. Sarthi will drive where you want to. Who then drove their chariot magnificent in between the two armies that were present. Now, problem is he didn't tell exact coordinates, GPS location where the chariot should go. So, Krishna has taken it where he wanted or where he felt it was necessary for Arjuna to realize. So, he takes it right in front of Bhishma and Drona. He stops the chariot there. Bhishma Drona Pramukhatah Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitam Samavetan Kuruniti. Facing Bhishma and Dronacharya, the commanders, and all the other kings and all the mighty leaders, the following words escaped the lips of Krishna. These are the Kurus you seek to battle. See, O Arjuna. And this is where we'll stop. So we see confident Arjuna ready to mark his opponent, and Krishna has taken the chariot right in front of Bhishma and Drona as per the wish of Arjuna. And he says, see, these are your opponents. Now will be an interesting turn from what we can say hero Arjuna is going to go in the opposite direction, almost to zero also we'll see, and that's where Krishna's counsel will begin. So here we stop. Arjuna has gone to the center of the battlefield in front of Drona and Bhishma. And Krishna has said, see, these are your opponents. So before we conclude, can somebody just quickly summarize something that we saw today in short? Which whatever you recollect. So it will be one short summary as well, which can, if anybody wants, you can even cut that summary in the end of, you can have a big, beautiful 18 chapter summary also. So anybody, yes, something you can recollect. What did we see today? Anyone? The Bhagavad Gita began. But officially it will be when Krishna begins. Right now we see other characters speaking. Yes, please. Renuji? Yes, ma'am.
The heart knows everything.
Okay.
And so the feeling of insecurity, that overconfidence, that arrogance, everything spell out. Even though he was knowing, Duryodhana was knowing that he is much more well equipped than his opponent, but his overconfidence, his arrogance, insecurity, all lies within his heart, because his heart was telling the truth that he's not on the right path. And
so even on wrong path, you should not have arrogance and overconfidence.
Yes.
But wrong path, yes, please go on.
And at the end, we just came to know that if the charioteer is my lord, my guru, I shouldn't give command. I should.
गलती हो गई अर्जुन से.
I should be in a surrendered mode.
Yes.
आप जो चाहे वो आप करें मालिक.
Yes, absolutely. But Arjuna has not yet established Krishna as his guru in his life. He is a friend. He is for him a counselor. He is a guide and elder. But not yet, the Guru Sthan has not been established. So whatever Krishna says, he is not yet. Reception will not be that perfect until that Shraddha opens. Means Krishna is there. Krishna is there all the time. Right now, Krishna knows. Probably Krishna even knew this is the first thought that will come into Arjuna's head. But he has not started advising anything to Arjuna because Arjuna is not receptive yet. So that is one more aspect. When you are having a reception, you will receive. Otherwise, you will only command, and that is what even Arjuna. Sometimes I have seen Shishya telling to a guru, "I'm busy now. I can't do a particular sadhana." I've heard it. I was watching because somebody in front of me it happened, and I was watching him talk to the guru, and I was like, "Oh my God, how is he speaking this? How can he say he's busy? And this is for particular problem that the solution is being given, and this person is turning away the solution simply for that reason only. Because this is what they call Maya also. They get trapped in it, and it comes functions through attachment. It will come later on in the Gita how it works, but this is what has happened. So yes, Dr. Suryaji was adding something. Please
Hariom
unmute,
ji.
sir. Hariom ji. Yes, sir.
I would like to add something. When Krishna is in everyone,
Hmm.
so when we say the heart, uh,
Hmm.
it actually meant for me is that Krishna sometimes guide us from inside. We
Yeah.
ignore it with the Maya of the world.
Okay. So,
Okay. So Duryodhana, in the sense, he is having this inside talking to him that he is doing wrong. It's
but
only
he's
the Krishna.
suppressing it. But he's suppressing
And
it.
he is suppressing it with the his in like
Ahankar, Ahankar.
experience, ahankar, and somewhere he has this um, jealousy towards
Okay.
his
Okay.
Pandavas for being better disciple for Drona, and he has grown with the praising, hearing praising from others for these Pandavas. Even
Okay.
in his soul field, he is facing second place. Bhima is considered as better.
Ha, ha, ha.
Like that insecurity is haunting him to that jealousy. Manoroga is we call this
Okay.
manoroga. Jealousy is one kind of a
Okay. Okay.
disease that
In Ayurveda.
inflicts the mind.
Yes, sir.
So that suppresses the heart.
Okay. That
The word of
suppresses even the word of Krishna can also
word of
be
the Krishna.
suppressed
That
by
that
us. Okay.
that illness
All right.
has to be eradicated with the knowledge.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. All right.
And
All right.
when it comes to Arjuna, he is like a very um, uh, good person, but when it comes to his field, in that
I'm best.
particular time, when he commanded Krishna
Ha.
to take him to the center of the war,
Ha.
he was at the peak of his determination, and
Yeah.
he wanted to uh, do by himself with the confidence, a little bit of overconfidence.
So yes, yes.
So what I feel personally with Krishna is Krishna never let you go overconfidence. If
Okay.
you
If
are
you listen to him.
taking
If you
his
listen to
hand,
him.
ah,
Yeah. All right.
if
All right, sir.
you are depending on him, he never let you get
Okay.
even bit of dirt in you.
Okay, sir.
Even with a
Ji.
little bit of dirt, he will eradicate. So
All
he
right.
took him to the
That's
main point of his weakness, Guru
okay.
Dronacharya and Bhishma, to see this is you what you want to take
Yeah. Yeah.
head on.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Like,
All,
go ahead and do what you
yes,
want.
sir.
I
Ji,
will
sir.
see
Yes.
quickly
Yes.
like that.
All right. Yes, ji. Okay, ji. Thank
That
you,
is what
Dr.
I
Sir.
feel.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Hari Om.
Uh,
Yes, so this is how the divine works in this Srishti and the world. And here Krishna has brought Arjuna. We do not know yet because Arjuna has not yet established. Krishna is still the Sarathi. Krishna is not the Aradhya or Krishna is not his guru at the moment. It's his one elder who is very well known. He is an elder who has done really remarkable things and he is a hero for Arjuna. He is a best friend of Arjuna, but not yet the guru. And so somewhere the humility aspect, though Arjuna who is humble by nature, even as Dr. Surajji says, it's his kshetra. I am the kshetrajna in this field. I am the expert. That feeling has probably come in and he is asked, take me to the center. And Krishna wants Arjuna to go towards the right. Sometimes, parents allow, no? When children learn cycling, I think all of us, we fell, isn't it? Did our parents say, don't ever cycle again because you fell down? नो चलो अभी तो सीखेगा थोड़ा गिरेगा लगेगा उसके बाद सीखेगा एंड दैट इज समथिंग कृष्ण अच्छा ठीक है यू आर द चैरिटर आई मीन यू आर द गाइड ओके ओके सर कम you want to mark your opponent see these are the two opponents Now we'll see what happens. But as of now, as of today, we see Arjuna is the Arjuna that we know. Arjuna, the warrior, is awakened only. He is telling, I am confident. I want to see my opponents, and I want to see all those people in the eye who have supported this wrong cause. What happens afterwards? Well, I think it is the same thing which would have happened to all of us when we gave our first speech on the stage. We prepared very well in the house. But when we went onto the stage, then something else happened. Well, this is something Arjuna has planned and replayed the situation over, but it's going to happen live. What's going to happen to Arjuna? We'll share it. Whether it can happen to us also, because Arjuna is like a yogi. He has done a lot of sadhana and tapasya, and still, in spite of that, we will see a fall of Arjuna's confidence, and somewhere his grace also will disappear. So with this, we conclude with today's session with the Shanti Mantra. After which, if anybody has any queries, you are most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishna Mandir, Jagat Guru. Hari Om. Jai Shri Krishna. If anybody has any queries, you are welcome, or we'll conclude.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Namaskar. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, if there are no queries, I'll conclude the session.